All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Abhi Kaushik, your host. If you're just joining us, we have about 56 participants right now, and we can do much better than that. So please send a text out, send your emails out, make a phone call if you need to get your team members on this call, because we have a phenomenal speaker here today, and that's none other than Bill Predebon. Before getting started with Renatus, back in 2007, Bill was actually a realtor and a loan officer, and during that year, he made just a little over $17,000. And, for him, that just was not the amount of money that he thought he was capable of earning, and was not allowing him to live the lifestyle that he dreamed of. So in 2008, Bill joined Renatus, and he saw the value right away, because he found out that not only could he learn in this environment, but also be able to apply what he's learning because of our amazing community and our amazing education. In his first year, he completed over 13 transactions and netted over $190,000 dollars. Ever since joining Renatus, Bill has done over 130 deals. He's grown his team around the country, and we are fortunate to have Bill on the call today. And what I really like about Bill is that, he's an open book. You can ask him any questions you want, and he's very down to earth and very, very easily approachable. So without further delay, I would like to introduce our speaker, Bill Predebon. Hey, Bill, good morning. How are you today? Hey, Bill, I don't think we're able to hear you right now. It sounds a little muffled. It kind of sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. We're not able to hear your voice properly. All right, folks, just bear with us while we get these technical issues sorted out. I think Bill is logging out and logging back in. Yes, Bill, I can see that you're online, but we are not able to properly hear you still. Is anyone else able to hear Bill?
No, we can't hear him.
Okay, so let's see if we can get this sorted out. In the meantime,
Hey, Abby, can you hear me? Abby, can you hear me all right?
yes, I can hear you now.
You got it?
Yep, I think we're good now.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry, everybody. I have no rational explanation for that. I did nothing different this time than I do every other time. So I apologize. I guess it just didn't want to hear my voice. Hey, man, so what I was going to say, Abby, is thanks for that introduction. I really appreciate it. It's just an honor to be here and a privilege to be here for sure. And I'm grateful to Michael and Christian for inviting me to do this training. But, most importantly, I'm grateful for everybody on the call listening and that participates. And so it means me, and that's why I feel like, there's no other way than to be an open book and just try to help in any way possible and share and mastermind and discuss things that people want. So I just really appreciate you. And it was just a really nice introduction, like a really personal introduction. And I greatly appreciate it, man. Thanks. Right on. All right. Good morning, Renatus Nation. Welcome to the Elevate training call on Tuesday. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. As I said, I'm excited for nationals coming up. I'm not going to spend too much time on nationals other than I would suggest that you, let everybody else know. I'm sure most of you guys on this call are registered, but, just continue to encourage others to do so. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys there. Get prepared and have fun. But, Michael went through it pretty well yesterday, and I know Christian touches on it. And of course, our gracious host, always, encourages us and reminds us about nationals as well. So with that, I'm going to train a little bit. Let's see. Hello, Sandra. So I'll remind you guys, excuse me. I do appreciate it. Like, some people do reach out, which is cool. To me, I'm going to put up my cell phone number, 760, if you're just listening. And then if you're watching the webinar, I can go on video too. If you guys, I know that is a little bit better for a lot of people. I don't know if it's working. Okay, cool. There we go. 760-533-3141. So that's my cell. Cool, Anthony. Oh, what's up, Anthony? How are you, man? Welcome. How cool. It's good to see you. All good. Sweet. All right. So in that chat, you guys, you have the opportunity to, I knew you were in Ireland. I saw that for St. Patty's Day, Anthony. That's just cool. In the chat, you guys, you have the opportunity or to just speak out, come off mute during this call, and pretty much say whatever you want and ask whatever you want, or change the topic to whatever you want, if that's your prerogative. This call is for you far more than it's for any of us. And with that said, we're always going to have something for us to train on, but if there's something relevant and pertinent and pressing in your Renatus business, your real estate business, and what's going on with you right now, even as if you're brand new or whatever, then by all means come out and ask a question or whatever, and we'll change the topic. I will change the topic and answer that. I know Christian does that, and everybody, Michael, if there's something, we read these chats for you guys. So, feel free to jump in, and it always usually reminds me of something else to talk about anyway. And they're usually really great questions. They're always great questions. And then they really start to stir up conversation. So it's good to, if you guys have anything. It's interesting that he mentioned Miracle Morning. I was thinking about that a little bit this morning. I want to kind of talk specifics about perhaps just building your business. And I've been talking the last 3 weeks on that. I've spoken on, a little bit about real estate and how real estate can help your marketing. And so we've had some really good questions and stuff and discussions on real estate itself and the education and how that works. So, wow, that was weird. So what I want to do is kind of move that back into a marketing perspective. Everybody has a different, routine in the morning. I think that if you could incorporate parts of the Miracle Morning, if you haven't read or listened to that book, I highly recommend it. But I definitely have a routine every morning that I follow. And I know that it's a big bonus to be able to have that type of routine as far as being an entrepreneur. I mean, it's what most entrepreneurs do, and what's most entrepreneurs follow that path. And it seems to be one that generates creation and success. So, in the morning for me, the number one thing I do in the morning is walk my dogs. And for me, it's kind of a meditation, if you will, of my own. I don't meditate. I don't know. I can't say that I'm not going to. It's just not in my routine yet. But that for me, like this morning, 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, it's still dark out, and walking my dogs. One of them's 13, and so he's pretty slow. And then I drop him off halfway, and then I take the other two a little bit for another loop, a little bit quicker. But anyway, during that time, I have a lot of time to reflect, think about what I'm going to train on if I'm training that day, or think about the things that I have to do, or just think about, other things that I don't have to do. And when I'm not, it takes me away from work. So just so you guys know, I don't know where you're at, but I call my mom probably 2 to 3 times a week, and I call her on my dog walk. And it's just, I've been doing it for years. And I never used to talk to my parents that much. I love my parents. I have a great relationship, but not on this kind of a routine. And it's really made a difference. It's just really made a difference in my life, my parents' life. I connect with my dad. He's my hero. I connect with him at least once a week. But I really talk to my mom all the time, and she's older. All our parents are getting older, and it's just awesome. So I don't know what, that helps me. I got a question for Peter. Have you incorporated the principles in Think and Grow Rich in your life and business? If so, what's been most impactful for you? I really love this book. Wow, that's a great question. I would have to say I do incorporate them, but I got to be honest with you guys. I've not read or listened to Think and Grow Rich in at least several years, to be honest. So I don't even remember all of the principles in Think and Grow Rich. So it's difficult for me to answer this question and say what's been the most impactful. I will say this, and I know this is in there that I can recall. I think for me, and I'm going to get into a specific training, guys, so we're not talking just theory here, but for me in my day is my wife helps me with this quite a bit, is being grateful. You don't have to go on Facebook and tell everybody how grateful you are, but being grateful, being thankful for what you have, and for the little things is a great way to live life. And then I think the mind of abundance and the mind of sharing and caring and the mind of giving back, that mindset is what I think is the most impactful for me. Now, let's be honest. Jennifer says, just so you guys know, the book is life-changing. I started masterminding around it. I totally agree, Jen. I know that you are just a proponent of everything Think and Grow Rich, and I know you have the ability to really share that with other people and generate positive masterminds and following around that. So that's awesome. I'll tell you what. I got to tell you that when I started, Abdi talked about my start with Renatus in 2008, and I had a fortunate year, and it's been fortunate ever since. But so we bought that house in 2007. I bought my primary residence, which we just moved out of a year ago, in 2007 during the crash. And so we closed. It was really stressful. I remember I was using my wife's credit, you guys, and I was a loan officer. So I had the ability to get the loan, and I understood the loan side of it. So we were doing 100% financing, stated income, she made good income, and it was all on her to get this house. And it was an expensive house at the time. It was $500,000, and stated income, stated assets, one of those crazy 100% loans. And it was going by the wayside. Like the market the writing was on the wall, and it was very difficult to get this loan through. And I remember just, being really stressed. And we got the house. I mean, we were able to close on the deal. In fact, we were ready to back out and even walk away from our $10,000 deposit. And and they ended up throwing in all of the closing costs. That should have been a sign. $25,000. I'm at signing with my wife, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen this before." You know, where the sellers give back 25 grand in closing costs and pay for everything on both sides. And of course, I didn't know crap about real estate, so I was like, "Oh, that's a bonus." You know what I mean? Well, they would have given me the house. I probably could have asked for another $100,000 off, and they would have given it to me. To be honest with you, if I didn't know if you don't know what you don't know. And I'll tell you, ignorance is far more expensive than any education and any experience of other people. So, so my point is this: for many of you, you're brand new on the phone, and welcome. For many of you, you're brand new on the phone and you've only been around for a few months to 6 months or a year, or maybe you've been around for a year or 2 years and life is just in the freaking way. And I get it, because I'm going to tell you, we bought that house in 2011 and we didn't furnish it for 5 years, and it was 3,000 square feet. Everything in there my wife had bought. I didn't have anything. There was one piece of furniture, I think in 2011 during the 2000, not 5 years, 3 years, 2010, I bought a desk off of Craigslist for $900. It was like a $4,000 desk, but the whole world was crashing around Craigslist. Everything was, I mean, it was ridiculous what you could get stuff for. So, you know, in 2008, I made no money for over 7 months straight. After my first wholesale deal, I made 12 grand. I made no money for 7 months, and I didn't have a job. And I had taken us from our bills being, literally our bills were like $12,000 a month, you guys, astronomical. And my wife didn't make 12 grand a month. And so I had to, it was a very stressful time, and I'm getting to a point here. And so there was a time in 2008 when I was working on these short sales, and I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to turn this into the marketing in a second, but the marketing actually saved my ass when it came to Renatus and real estate. And if you haven't heard this, I'll tell it to you. And if you have heard it, bear with me. I'll put a spin on it so it makes more sense. But, you know, in May of 2007 or 2008, rather, I had a $70,000 a month between real estate and marketing. And I was able to give my wife a check for like 49 grand. And it only paid for like 4 months worth of bills. And we had gone 7 months without me making any substantial money or whatever at all. I was taking away people as an agent for rentals. It was ridiculous what I was making. And my point to this is that when you talk about abundance and you read Think and Grow Rich and you go to the masterminds and you go to the meetings on Thursday nights and you surround yourself with positive, like-minded people, and your life is not positive and like-minded, it's difficult, okay? Now, we'll leave it at that. I don't want anybody to think it's difficult, because if you think of it's difficult, it absolutely is, all right? We have to reframe our mind, and we have to associate something in your life with something that's pleasant and something that's better and something that's futuristic, and that is not difficult. I'm not going to do NLP stuff. I'm not going to do, you know, that type of mindset training right now. But what I'm getting at is I understand, and I have been through when it is hard as heck to sit here and, you know, rejoice in the abundance mindset and the wealth creation that people talk about in Renatus and in our meetings and in our books and our growth, when we are drowning in debt, or we are just not having a good life right now. We are not having a good time. We are not doing well financially. We don't like our job. Maybe we're living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe it's not as that, but whatever it is, it's not good enough. Okay. And it's very, very easy to get sucked up in that. And here's the difference. The difference is you're on this call, so you're doing something about it. Okay. So the difference is I had spent the 20 grand. I had reinvested money that I didn't have, put myself in more debt to get out of debt. And I surrounded myself with people. So like I would go to the meeting, you guys, and remember, I was driving my wife's pay. It was like she still owed a little money on it. She bought the truck, which was my idea. She wanted it. I'm like, oh, don't worry, you can get it. I'll be making money. Well, sure enough, that was another freaking $500 a month payment that we couldn't afford. But now we were buried in that thing because it was on her credit. And so she's driving the brand new truck, and I got her old car because I had no money. My car got repossessed on our wedding, and my sports car. And so I'm driving a girl's VW, right? And in fact, I wrecked it, and it had Bondo on it. I couldn't even afford not to have the freaking Bondo on it. And I would steal gas money to drive to the meeting in this Bondo car that was a chick's car, looking like a fool. And I would get to the meeting and they'd be packed. And I would sit in the back of the room. And a lot of times I would get there late. I wouldn't have a good seat because most of the time my wife and I got in an argument on why, and she was not supportive. There's nothing more supportive than my wife. No one more supportive than my wife. She's always supportive of me. But I will tell you, that I would get in arguments and I would end up late, and I would get to the meeting. I'd stand in the back in the doorway and stuff, and I'd listen. And people are going up doing their testimonies. The guys up in front of the room are telling the speech and doing the epic presentation. And it was a good environment, but I was frustrated because I didn't have any of that. And so the things that I did are the things that we still do today, that all your mentors are teaching you to do from Bob Snyder all the way down, which is continue to grow. Jennifer is very good at this. Continue to grow. Continue to experience other books, other tapes, other programs. I mean, if you listen to Michael, even yesterday, he took a class on, I forgot what it was. He took a class on, can't think of what it was. Maybe someone will type it in, but he mentioned taking a class to learn about this thing. Like, he continues to educate himself. He continues to better himself, continues to grow. Memory. Thank you. And so it enhanced his life. And people are typing in, Chuck, the one that changed my life was Success Principles. Okay, there's another book. So what I'm getting at is when all this crap is going on in your life and you haven't done as well as you want in Renatus, you've gone off on tangents and it's taken you somewhere else. Your job is holding you back. Your family's holding you back. Your situation financially is holding you back. Whatever it is, number one is you have to celebrate your success, which is you're here. Number two, you celebrate the successes that you have with Renatus, whatever they are. Showing up, being an IMA, any of those types of things, right? And so then I would listen to what I was given, and what I had was the education. So although I didn't have the money, and although I didn't have success, and although I wasn't making money, and although in my opinion my life was pretty stressed out financially, I just did what they told me to do. So when you hear about The Secret or Think and Grow Rich, and you start to think about the abundance of mindset, the mindset of abundance and sharing and spending money on nationals, spending money on advertising for Renatus, spending money on iOS when you don't have it. Like, all of these things are impossible to fathom. Like, literally that kind of money sometimes is beyond belief. But what's interesting is when you put it out there, right? It's so stupid, but build it and they will come. When you put it out there and you pay for it and you initiate it and you start it and you contribute to it, it's not an instant gratification like the American society. It's not white bread wonder. It's not any of that stuff. It is It is a growth process, but it is building blocks for what's to come. And it's the things that have to happen. Like if there was another way, then entrepreneurs would write about the other way, right? Successful people would write about the other way that it works. They wouldn't keep that secret. They would be 6-minute abs instead of 7-minute abs, right? They would write about that, and it would be the next best thing because they knew they could make money selling it. But what everybody writes about is the same stuff. They just have a different spin on it and a personal experience on it. If you think about it, it's putting in the time and putting in the effort and doing the things now to build for later, to get the successes. So, going to the meetings over and over and over again, going to a training before you've made any money, like the nationals, spending more money than the $20,000 that you've already spent, spending money on advertising materials, advertising for leads, paying for iOS software so that you can create lead sources for real estate. Doing those things are not conducive to your business financially right now, but they're the building blocks and they're the necessities. They have to happen in order for you to have the success that you want. You have to do these certain steps. Now, I will tell you, like, if you think about it, it goes right back to this. We join Renatus and we enroll in the education, and we become an IMA, and we do so, and it's a business. And if we are undercapitalized and we're not able to support our business with any type of marketing, any type of continued growth in personal development, because we don't have the funds, I don't know what's wrong with my voice, because we don't have the funds. The good news about Renatus is it doesn't go away. You don't have to file bankruptcy on Renatus. You don't have to lose your education. You don't have to, you only have to pay $197 a year. So you don't have to worry about your IMA for a whole year. All of those types of things. The Business Builder subscription is month to month, so you can always rejoin it. That's the greatest thing. You have no brick and mortar. You have no overhead. You have no bills every month. You don't have those things that you don't have to worry about with that business. So the minute you get capital, you can start it back up again. The bad news is that it's a business. And so if it's undercapitalized, then you again will fail slowly. And what I mean by this is, that most businesses, whatever it is, 97% of all businesses in the first year fail and the majority of those fail because they're undercapitalized. That's the number one reason, right? And Renatus is the same way. You can't be undercapitalized. You can't not have self-development. You can't not market. You can't not go to the meetings because you don't have gas. You can't not go to the meetings because you can't take off a little bit of work or reschedule your work. You can't not study the education and buy leads and then put up street signs and go door knocking. You have to be able to do these things and create earnest deposits and create contracts and visit lawyers and CPAs and get your crap together. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to do it first or anything like that, but there has to be some influx of money into your business or it will not succeed right away. It will take a much longer path. And so all of these things are investing in your business, and they have to come before the success. You can't buy a store and buy a business of any kind in the country. You can't start a business without material, without marketing, without advertising, without development, without putting down money on leases, whatever it is. There has to be capital, and then there has to be capital to sustain debt, and there has to be capital to inject into the business. And a lot of people will take their profits and re-put it into the business so they can grow the business. And it's the same thing here. So the good thing is, the greatest thing about it is that Renatus and your Renatus business offers you the opportunity to invest a lot more time than money. And you can invest a lot of time into free Audible books. You can invest a lot of time into education that you already paid for. You don't have to go do deals to be a great marketer in Renatus. You just have to be able to reiterate the education and talk about what you learned. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about what you're what your experiences are going to be. And you will be ahead of the game regardless of most of the people that you talk to, friends and family included. Most of the people that you invite to the meeting when you are studying education, and you all know this already, that you will have a far upper hand with the education you're receiving. So, a lot of the Renatus business capital that you need is your time and your energy and your commitment. And when you put those things in, you will begin to see the successes. They will be the building blocks. But every once in a while, you will need to take some of the money from your job or your retirement or your savings, or you have to sell some crap and inject it into your business. Most of you have heard this, but so many of you guys are new over the last few years, or last year doing this. When I in 2007 and 2008, when I was doing well in my Play It Again sports business, one of the first things I bought was a nice watch, right? I had several of them. One of them was I'm totally just spacing it right now. One of them was a numbered, I don't want to say tag, but that's one of the ones I have now, but Omega, a James Bond Omega. It was a special edition. So it was a fairly expensive watch, and I had it. And I sat in front of a pawn shop. Now, it wasn't like pawn off your gun and your jewelry. It was a high-end estate jewelry sale. I sat in that car in front of the store for nearly over an hour. In fact, nearly over. I don't even know if that's possible. Like, again, you don't have to have English to do this. That's funny. Keely probably gets that because she sees me do the presentation and laughs. So it was over an hour that I sat in front of this store, and I literally had to sell this watch. And this is just one of many items that I had to sell. And I even called the guy I was working for at the mortgage store, the mortgage business that I work for as a loan officer. And I was telling him, you promised me I'd make all this money, and I'm making crap. He didn't know. I mean, it wasn't his fault. The damn market was crashing. How was he going to know? He was trying to get me leads and do everything, but I was blaming him. I was an idiot, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was blaming him for my lack of income. It's not his responsibility for me to make $8 to $10 grand a month. It's mine. And I was just letting him know that I'm sitting here in front of this thing and I'm going to sell this damn watch. And so I sold my watch, for literally, like, I don't even know if it was 20% of what I paid for it. And then I sold my motorcycle, which it was one of the few things of value that I had that I actually freaking owned outright. And because I leveraged everything and I was owed on everything. And I had to sell my bike. That was a little bit easier for me to sell. I used to ride all the time. I was a crotch rocket. I used to ride in California and Colorado, but you come out to Arizona and ride a motorcycle, and it's not a motorcycle friendly state at all. But nonetheless, it was something that I paid off, and I was proud of it, and I loved it. And I rode 150 miles an hour on that damn thing. So I had to sell my bike. But you can get that stuff back. So eventually you have to inject your money in your business. So let's see, I have, thanks for this. Key to me before, regardless of obstacles that get in the way, just keep push past them. You're welcome, Tracy. So cool. So, let's put this into a training. So here's the thing. When we're starting, and even when we start, like, sometimes you're going to make mistakes. I promise you. Most likely, I can't promise you. But even in real estate, you're going to do deals if you haven't already, and they're not going to go well, right? There was a deal, you guys, an assisted living facility I bought. I was with it for about 3.5 years, 3 years. And on the second, it's a long story, but on the second go around, I lost about $112,000 on that deal overall. I'd made a lot more than that on the first go around on it. So, but the next time around, but that money was spent or invested, and then next thing you know, a couple of years later, I'm facing walking away from this property, and I've got 100,000 plus of my own money invested in this, let alone some partners' money, right? So there will be times when you will be challenged. There will be times when Renatus, and you've heard Bob Snyder say this on Generally Speaking, like, that's why he doesn't encourage you. I'm not going to tell you to quit your job and not quit your job. I mean, you burn all the boats, you quit your job, you're forced to do this, make it happen, right? Get enough reserves where you can sustain a certain period of time and go after it. But when you listen to Bob talks about, he looks at a 1 or 2 year job plan, at least 2 years before you're quitting your job. When you hear Chris Wilson talk about his real estate endeavors, he was making more money part-time in real estate than he was making full-time at Lucid Technologies as a global sales manager. Okay. And this is in the 90s, I think. And maybe it may have been 80s or 90s. And so, but it took him like 5 years to replace his income. And it was more than a replacement. It was exceeding his income before he quit his Lucid job. The point is that, you're going to look to get in this business, and there's going to be and you heard me talk about it, a tsunami, right? You're building up this, all the stuff the work that you're doing, the leads that you're generating that aren't funding, the people that are coming to the meetings and want to do it, and their friends and family and cold leads that are in and in and in and in and in, right up until they can't find the money. And then you have people change their mind because they talk to God or whatever the case is, and they don't move forward. And then you've got a few people moving forward here and there. And eventually what happens is you have your first sale or you get 5-star qualified. But then these people come around. You've heard Christian, myself, and Michael, and everybody else on this call when they do testimonies all across the country. This person joined up after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. You've been working with this folk, and they start to come through. Those people aren't even on your radar anymore. They're on your drip list. They're people you reach out to at an intensive every once in a while, or a national event or a regional event or some big event, and you reach out to them, or maybe you're just bored and they come across their name. And all of a sudden they come back through the pipeline, and your pipeline starts to get fatter, and you have a big month or a big couple of months or a couple $10,000 months in a row. And you have that. But then all of a sudden, that wave comes through, and now you're waiting on the next tidal wave. You're waiting on the next wave to come through. These tsunamis don't come every 5 minutes, every 30 seconds, like a regular wave pattern, like a set of waves when you're surfing. These come through every once in a while, the great storms that come through. So in this, as your business goes up, it goes up like real estate. It goes up and down as it's going up. So there's a lot of times where you're going to have the beginning, your learning curve, whatever it is. Some people it's longer, some people it's shorter, some people are luckier, some people are ready for this type of business right out of the bat, where your mental state will be tested, and your belief in Renatus will be tested. Your financial situation will be tested. You will have upgraded your car, your house, your lifestyle. You will have invested in real estate of your own money. You might have bought a rental property and something goes wrong with your rental. You may have taken on a building for your new office, for your Renatus business, and something goes wrong. Or you hit a lull in your income, and you're going to need to rely on your abundance mindset. You're going to need to rely on on everything that you've been taught through your books and your tapes and your education and your personal development. And that's going to create the entrepreneur in you. And so, when it comes to, I kind of got off on a tangent. So when it comes to this last part, we'll talk about how we can put this into everyday practice right now in inviting and closing business, right? And so, again, if you have any thoughts or comments or questions, you feel free to chat it in, and I can go talk about it. I had to make that coffee when Abby was making those announcements. I was making my second cup of coffee. All right. So here's what I do. I was thinking about this morning. When I started in Renatus, and I got to tell you, it was the old company, right? And I was a retail sales guy. I sold people on the education, and I wasn't really a marketer. the reason I was the reason I was marketing was I needed money. I didn't market because I wanted to help people. I didn't listen. I didn't hear the message. I wasn't in the mood to hear or see the message. I was in the mood to make money, and I was in the mood to save my ass, excuse my language. And so I felt like since I had success in the real estate, that I was better at giving the message than the system itself. And many, many times in my beginning, in the first couple of years that I did Renatus as a marketing tool, I would make between 20 and 50 grand in any given year, which wasn't bad, but I never had a pass-up sale. I never had anybody pass up a sale to me and build a team. I was strictly interested in, and it wasn't that I wasn't interested in it. I didn't market it that way. People wanted to know how I was doing short sales, and then I started doing fix and flips in a really down market, and how was I raising money, and how was I doing what I was doing. And so I would just tell them about it, and it was easy for them to purchase it. The product sold itself. But I will tell you that I went through a lot of people, and the way that I did that is that I talked a lot. You're very welcome. You're very welcome for that. I'm glad you caught the call. And we find ourselves explaining. We find ourselves teaching. We find ourselves being the mentor, being the one who is doing the teaching, even to prospects, explaining the education, and all of those things. And there's a very short time and window for that, and I'll get to that. And that's in the follow-up. But man, when we're booking people, you guys, I used to be in my house with no furniture, this old table that my wife had from her ex, and which was my desk out in the living room, in this huge great room because we had no furniture in it. And I would walk back and forth in front of these two bay windows that face the pool. And I would literally book somebody for like 30 minutes. And by the time I got off the call, I was like, this person is sold, they're in, they never showed up, and they ghosted me. And it didn't happen once, it happened all the time, right? People that I'd meet at Wells Fargo when I'm depositing big checks from real estate, people I'd meet at the bank when I'm doing banking with them, and I'm closing on things at title companies, and I'm meeting people that are in the trade industry, contractors not making any money in their downturn. And I would just explain it all. And I would tell them what they could do and what's going to be and all this stuff. And I'd never get them to the meeting. I was not an appointment setter. I was the judge and jury, if you will, right? The only thing we really need to do is follow the system. We need to see the people, and then we need to tell a story, and we book for the event, right? When you see the people, telling a story after you find out why they would be interested at all in coming to Renatus, in anything that Renatus offers, not that you've mentioned Renatus, but you simply talk about real estate or making money or working from home or paying off debt or getting their first home or buying a house with equity or having a rental or paying less in taxes, anything, having a community to hug and touch and feel, having a mentor, whatever it is that Renatus can offer, the thousands of things that we can offer. When you find out what that is, you tell a story. You tell a story about someone who felt the same way, or if it was you and you felt that way, and then you give them your experience. That's it. So you see the person, you create intrigue and ask a question. They provide you with what they're looking for, and you tell a story to get them there. After you tell a story, you simply ask. You ask this: would that interest you? If you could experience that, if that makes sense to you, if that sounds like what you're looking for, if that at all is possible for you, if that, then this, would it be worth your time to spend an hour with me, right? Would you like me to follow up with you and give you a call and invite you to my next event? Would you like to spend a little more time, right? If, then this, right?
And a lot of times, if it's right off the bat, you're not booking that first appointment right there. You're booking the appointment to book the appointment. There's nothing wrong with getting information and then calling them at a better setting and a better time. In fact, it's better because it's a second touch. Having a quick conversation and then deferring to another time is not a bad thing. And then you can set it up when you're in your comfort of your space that you like to be in, right? When I make phone calls and I talk to people, whether it's in the car, whatever it's about, real estate or business or borrowing money or following up with an investor or partner or talking to a trade, when I'm not in state for that particular conversation, it doesn't go well in my favor. What I mean by being in state is I change myself from a particular state of mind to that particular state of mind based on the outcome I want to get from that conversation. I can't be thinking about finances and a fight with my wife or going to Disneyland or anything good, my dogs or going to the vet or anything, if I got to try to book someone to an event. I'm not in the right state of mind. I got to change and I got to get in the right state of mind. If you probably, not everybody's a sports fan. You probably all haven't seen, Kevin Costner in The Perfect Game, but he has a clearing mechanism in that game as a pitcher, and he tunes out everything. He gets in a state on every pitch, and he clears out all the bull crap. And that's his state of mind, so he can throw the perfect pitch every single time. And it's the same thing when you're talking to folks, right? So I'm going to finish this up with the 4 steps. I get in that state. And so being able to book somebody to the next event does not mean it could be the next 5 minutes when you're ready to be able to talk to them in a minute. Hey, I'm so glad you called me back. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? Or can I call you back at 4? Because you're doing something. Just because they're called, you're not going to be in the position or the right state of mind to take their call and book them to the event properly. All right? And this is our mindset. If you take, you guys, for 2 or 3 years, I would not do the steps. I was the message, not the messenger. And that's the wrong way to approach it. You are not the message. Your leaders, Renatus itself, the epic presentation, the follow-up presentation, the property tour, the cash flow game, all of the events are the message. The follow-up with your mentor. If you're not 5-star qualified, maybe you do your own follow-up, but ask your mentor first. Ask your 5-star affiliate first. They should be there doing your 5-star with you, your follow-up rather with you, or for you for that matter, or whatever. And you're learning. But you create that intrigue, you get the interest, and you find out their pain, or you just find out what would interest them, or what their problem is, or what they're looking for. You provide a solution from Renatus via a story, right? Somewhere where someone was in the same position, felt the same way, joined Renatus and had success. And then you just simply ask for the invite, right? You book them to the event. The next thing that happens is when they're at the event, you guys, they physically see everything that you want to tell them. The majority of their questions get answered. They get invited and see this opportunity. They get to experience Renatus as a whole. They get to witness other people experiencing success. They get to see the whole picture, not just what it's like about the education and how great people are doing and all this stuff and how many people we have and that we have national events and all this crap we tell them. Let the story be told at the event. The story will be told. And they will be sold on the stories that are told at the event. The facts will sink in now and again, and then they'll have a few more questions for the follow-up. But the stories are going to sell them at the event, and the community is going to sell them at the event. And then you simply ask what they like best, right? And then the next thing we do, the simple step, is we book to the next event, right? We have to book to the next event. And like Michael says, what did you like best? Oh, great. We need to get you into more of that. We need to have you experience that then, don't we? We need to get you started in that, don't we? Okay, great. The next step is we go back here, we look at this, we sign up for the IMA, or we at least get your order in, or we get you booked for the follow-up tomorrow, then we place your order, and you You future pace them. You let them know how great it's going to be when they get started. You tell another story, and then you're done. You get them booked for the next event. You put it in your calendar. You tell them you're going to send them a follow-up text to confirm tomorrow, and you're good to go. And then you let your 5-star know you're going to be setting up an appointment. And you put it in your books, and you move on to your next person. This is your tidal wave that you're building. And this all comes from your experiences, whether you bring people to the events or not. Getting on these calls, going to nationals, going to the events, no matter what your financial situation is, injecting money in to a business when you have no money at all, putting time and energy into a business when you have no support, you don't have the time because you're already taken away the time because you're going to your work or your business or your self-employed job you already have. When all the odds are stacked against you is when you will succeed the most, right? When you will overcome that through Think and Grow Rich principles, through abundance mindset. And that is when you implement the 4 basic steps of Renatus. You don't try to expedite it. You don't try to make it happen faster. You don't do it because you need the money. You do it because it's the system and you want to help people see what the gift that you've been given. When we buy the combo, and you can tell this to your prospects and your students, when they buy the combo, that is simply the beginning. That is not the end. You just get started. That's the starting point. When you invest in a business, that's the start. You haven't even begun. There will be more investment. There will be more time. There will be more heartache. There will be more pressed times. There will be harder times. There will be desperate, low-end financial times. It's the beginning. But then it will come. If you stop feeding your mind with abundance mindset, attitude of gratitude, like Jennifer says, Think and Grow Rich principles, watching, generally speaking, listening to your 5 stars and getting on trainings when you are at work like this, driving to work when you'd rather be listening to the radio and the news and all the other things in the world. When you are sacrificing those things, when you are doing it when you know you can't, that is when it will pay off. All right. Peter, you're awesome. Thank you guys. It's 8:02. I got to get ready for spin class at 9, leadership at 10:30. Just an awesome packed Tuesday. I love you guys. You're welcome, Sal. Awesome. Peter, Mr. Johnson, Rico, Tracy, Jen, Anthony, you're so cool, dude. I can't tell you how much you mean to me. You're welcome. Cool. You guys, you have my number. I'm going to put it. Success. Ron Heyer. I love you, brother. 760-533. You're welcome. You're welcome very much. 3141. 760-533-3141. That is my cell number. Make it a great Tuesday. I'll see you guys in a week. I'll be there Wednesday afternoon in Utah. I'll see you next Tuesday on this call. Make it a great week. Invite someone you care about to the meeting this week. Make it happen. Thanks for your being here. It means a lot to me that you guys are on this call. I can't even tell you. So I appreciate you all. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day. I will end the meeting for all. I think if my computer lets me. You guys.
How's your brother?
All right. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.